A clip from Dr. Sanjay Gupta's documentary, Weed, which airs on CNN this Sunday night. Sanjay spent a year investigating the fight over medical marijuana. More and more Americans are using it. Just a few days ago, Washington, D.C. opened up its first medical marijuana dispensary. And CNN's chief medical correspondent, Dr. Sanjay Gupta, joins me now. Sanjay, welcome to you.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
So, come on, you've been looking at this for a year, and I want to remind you that in 2009, you wrote a Time magazine article entitled Why I Would Vote No on Pot. You've changed your mind.
I have, and as part of my thinking recently, I've apologized for some of the earlier reporting because I think we've been terribly and systematically misled in this country for some time, and I did part of that misleading. If you look at all the papers that are written in the United States about marijuana, the vast majority of them are about the harm. That we fund studies on harm, we don't fund studies on benefit nearly as much. So it gives a distorted picture. But I didn't look far enough, I didn't look deep enough, I didn't look at labs in other countries that are doing some incredible research. I didn't listen to the chorus of patients who said, not only does marijuana work for me, it's the only thing that works for me. I took the DEA at their word when they said it's a Schedule I substance and has no medical applications. There was no scientific basis for them to say that.
So when New York Mayor Bloomberg was quoted as saying medical marijuana is the greatest hoax of all time, what do you say to him?
I'm surprised, I follow a lot of the mayor's comments quite closely. I listened to those comments as well. As part of those same comments, he was saying that the potency of marijuana has gone up. That is true. It has gone up probably over the last several years. But I urge him to look at the scientific papers. I was just looking at them again in preparation for your show. The science is there. This isn't anecdotal. This isn't in the realm of conjecture anymore. I mean, for a long time, we've just ignored these papers. But this was a drug, that was used for thousands of years.
Now, in your documentary, you get into the effects of medical marijuana, which sometimes can be quite instant. It's quite dramatic.
It really can. It works, and it can work very quickly. In fact, let me just show you.
I always have two strains.
Meet 19-year-old Chaz Moore. He uses many different strains of marijuana, many of them high in CBD, to treat his rare disorder of the diaphragm.
My abs will, lock up.
That's why he's talking this way, almost speaking in hiccups, like he can't catch his breath. It's called myoclonus diaphragmatic flutter. This fluttering here, it's annoying, but it becomes painful pretty quickly, I imagine.
Yeah, after 15, 20 minutes is where I can start to really feel it.
He's about to show me how the marijuana works. He's been convulsing now for 7 minutes. How quickly do you expect this to work?
Within the first 5 minutes. And I'm done.
That's it?
That's it.
It was actually less than a minute.
Depending on the attack in the day.
I mean, that is pretty extraordinary.
He was on so many different meds, Piers. It was a table full of meds that doctors had prescribed for him for this condition, including OxyContin, Valium. Any of those medications in too high a dose could have been really problematic, and they didn't work. I mean, look, the proof is becoming increasingly clear, I think, if you look for it.
Let's take a short break. When we come back, we're going to make things a bit lively, Sanjay. We're going to bring in Howard Samuels, the CEO of the Hills Treatment. Now, you and he have clashed horns before. We're going to do it again after the break because he does not agree with you, and he's going to be quite forceful about it. Let's get to that after the break. The medical marijuana controversy rages on in America. Should it be legal or not? Let's debate it. Back with us now is Dr. Sanjay Gupta. Also joining us is Howard Samuels, who's a former addict turned founder of the Hills Treatment Center for Drug and Alcohol Rehabilitation. Howard Samuels, we've spoken before about this. You feel very strongly from your own experiences as a personal addict and treating other addicts that it's a real gateway drug, marijuana, and we should not be encouraging it to be legalized.
Well, absolutely. I mean, I think that the doctor has a very good point that for medical purposes, marijuana can be very, very useful. But you have to understand, the vast majority of people that use weed use it to get loaded. They use it to get high. And look, I'm not here to say that it's, worse than alcohol. Of course it's not worse than alcohol. But why in the world would we legalize another drug so our nation's youth have another substance to abuse and medicate their feelings with? And this is, to me, the issue. we don't want to go from one extreme, reefer madness, which we know is a total exaggeration, but we don't want to go to the other extreme where we legalize this drug and endanger so many of our young people.
Okay,
we want to find a healthy balance.
Okay,
between.
let me throw that point to Sanjay. It's a point well made, quite reasoned. Sanjay.
Well, I mean, look, it can be difficult to sort of stratify the legitimate patients who have use for cannabis not only as a medication but as the only medication for their suffering, and as the doctor says, people who just want to get loaded or get high. That's true.
But if it's no more harmful than alcohol or tobacco, why shouldn't it be legalized? Isn't there an inconsistency in government policy?
I think so. And let me take it a step further than that. I think it's irresponsible of the medical community not to offer this as an alternative. 2 points. First of all, these other medications that we talk about for pain, for example, morphine, Dilaudid, OxyContin, Vicodin, you name it. Every 19 minutes in this country, Piers, in the United States, someone dies of an accidental prescription drug overdose. This is no joke. Every 19 minutes. As we investigated this, I couldn't find one documented case of someone dying of a marijuana overdose. We also know that for some situations like neuropathic pain,